right now. Okay, and I'm going to share my screen because this is one of those things that I really love talking about because it's something that I personally have had to really kind of work through, and branding is something that can feel so self-centered, but is super, super important for you to understand and for you to truly grasp. So as we're going, if you have questions, please type them below and I will make sure to save time for them. But before we jump into that, like a couple things coming up. Team Cup, this is huge. If you're my personally sponsored coach, you got an email from me at like midnight this morning talking about it, but this will really move your business forward. So if you're not plugged into a Team Cup team, that's something you need to do. This month, the promos are $20 off of the nutrition programs, Bar Blend, and the work. So those are still on sale. All trip points for the Success Club trip are doubled. And so again, if you weren't at a Super Saturday or you haven't watched the Super Saturday videos, they're all in the back office in the news section. But basically you earn points that cover the cost of those trips all year long. And so as you hit Success Club, you earn your room, basically is how it works. But in January, those points are doubled. So if you hit Success Club 5, you actually earn 10 points instead, which is pretty darn cool. And then Summit, it is a promo ticket this month as well. It's $165. That's the cheapest it's going to be all year. So I would really encourage you, if you haven't come to Summit before, to make it a priority. It is truly a game changer for your business. It was for mine, and I'm like a huge introvert. And so for me to say I like this event, I think shows that it really is amazing. But like Kyla was just saying, trying to get incredible speakers for Summit. They have amazing speakers. Last year we had Rachel Hollis, we've had Brendan Burchard. It's not just an event about how to sell Shakeology. It truly is things that you can apply to anything in your business. They have sessions on, hey Caleb, do not let the dog in, working the business with your husband. They have sessions really tailored to where you specifically are at. You get to do live workouts. It's amazing. We have our team parties. So I want to shout out these gals who are on the board here. So many great things happening in January. And one of the things that I really like to think about is how can I tailor what I'm talking about and what I'm sharing about to what I know is going on. So it's kind of the health and fitness Christmas, but now it's the middle of January, almost the end. Maybe people are dropping off the bandwagon. You know, maybe they haven't gone to the gym and this could be a great option for them. Maybe they're feeling discouraged in their resolutions that they haven't hit. And so to really start thinking about that, February is a great month to talk kind of about loving yourself, sugar detoxes, all of those things. So I really try to be strategic with my content and thinking through like, what are the people who are in my niche currently struggling with? What are their pain points? And how can I make my posts really speak to them? How can I make my stories really speak to them in a way that is authentic? And so we're going to talk about that a little bit tonight. So diving in. Hey, Kayla. What do you mean? Sorry. What do you mean? Okay, diving in. So a business, and this is where we're really having to start to think, because you guys, you might not feel like it. You may have signed up as a coach yesterday, but you are a business owner now. And so a business is an organization that makes a product, service, or opportunity. So like my business is I'm a Beachbody coach, right? Like that is my business. But a brand is the heart behind it. It's the image and personality that really sets you apart from every other person out there. So for me, and I would like you to, like, as I'm going through this, to really like actually write this down or really start kind of pondering through. I'm a Jesus-loving mama and wife, a little bit of a hot mess who has a sweet tooth and loves her family. And I'll tweak this depending on the season of life that I'm in, but thinking through like that is the brand that I consistently present to the world, because it's very much authentic to the season that I'm in right now. It's my dog's like barking behind and the whole hot mess. Like that is me, right? So really start to think about like, who is it that you are? When someone asks me what I do, I don't just say like, oh, I'm a Beachbody coach. I say, hey, I have a team called the Pineapple Crew, and we are people who help women get results in their health and fitness. We are faith-based. Like, and yeah, Beachbody is a piece of what I do, but I serve in so many other avenues than just selling Shakeology. When you come to my page, you get so much more than that. And so that is your brand. And you really have to start leaning into that, because truly the coaches who are successful in this business are the ones who lean into that instead of just posting selfies with their Shakeology or a workout video that has no value to who your people are. So I want you to start thinking that through. It's not about what you're selling, but the fact that you are selling it. So if you're in our new coach training, you've done the color wheel. If you haven't done that yet, go back and do that, or ask me for it and I'll give it to you. But think about your 5 things. What are your 5 things that make you you? So for me, it could be, it's my kids, my wife, I am a hot mess. You will see Jesus on my feed. I talk about transformation a lot. Like, you'll see those things pop up. And truly, why this is important is it gives you consistent guidelines to start your posts around. So I really stick within that niche. And one of the things that really helps with it is it means that you're not talking to everybody. And I know that that can sound kind of harsh, or like, oh, I'm not going to have anyone to talk to. But truly, people are going to connect with you. I'm going to run my scheduled scan later. Don't know what that is. People are going to connect with you. And so if you are a twin mom, or you love wearing hats, or you are a DIYer, or you love traveling, like, those are things that people are going to kind of latch onto you, and they're going to start following you for those things. And what's happened to me is that as I have really niched myself down and narrowed it down, people will come back. So like, maybe it's someone who's connected with me on my faith, and they like following for that reason, and they've never bought a challenge pack before because they're super happy with their CrossFit membership or whatever. And then their seasons of life change, maybe they have a baby or they move or something like that. They're going to come back to me because I've been consistently showing up in their feed, and they're connecting with me on other avenues. And so it also helps tailor your posts where, you really kind of stick within those niches. Yeah, there's more to you than those 5 things, but what are the 5 main things that make you you? Yes, I'm not getting anything. I'm sorry, guys. This is such a disaster. Usually I try to do more focus. So come up with your 5, stick with that, and that will first of all tailor what you're talking about. Yes, health and fitness should be a part of it, or nutrition, but that should not be all of you. There's so much more to you than just that. And you really need to start kind of digging into those things of what those are. And if you have more than 5, I'd encourage you to have a couple that are broad, maybe like moms, and then a couple that are really, really narrow, like I love baseball, or I love wearing hats, or I love, like, something like that, that is super niche that people will instantly identify who you are, what you're talking about. So, questions on that at all? No? Okay. So let's talk photos. Who struggles with photos? I know Sarah and I were, I'm going to call her out because I know we were talking about this. Sasha. Yeah. I felt super awkward with this when I first started. I have literally never even taken a selfie. And it really felt, and I don't know if any of this resonates with you guys, but it felt so self-centered. I was joking with a friend the other day that if I ever like have a heart attack and die and someone goes to my phone, I'm going to look like the biggest narcissist in the world. It's like pictures of my kids and like 50 photos of me in a row that I try to retake. Like, it can feel kind of overwhelming and it can feel awkward. But here's the deal. People, hey guys, I need you to stop that right now. People connect with you. And I don't know if you follow Jenna Kutcher at all. If you don't, you should. She's an amazing Instagram influencer. And I actually followed her before she was famous, so I feel pretty cool. But she did an experiment on her feed where she basically posted pictures of other people. She's a photographer, so that's her business. Hold on, I'm sorry. Let me deal with my kids really quick here. Hold that thought. Okay, I'm sorry about that. So she did this experiment on her Instagram account. She has, I think, not quite 1 million followers, but a lot. And she posted photos for a while of only other people. And then she switched and did it where every single photo had her in it. She might have not been the main focus. Maybe one of them was with her husband and her daughter, but she was in them and her engagement skyrocketed. She has a really great podcast called the Gold Diggers Podcast. If you're not listening to something, she's fantastic with tips on Instagram and all of that. I love her. But it's really important that you are in these photos because people are connecting with your brand. And so it might feel really self-centered, but the truth is, people want to get to know you. They want to see your face, and you are the person they're connecting with. So yeah, you might be a mom and your kids might be a part of your pictures, but they're buying you. You are going to be their coach. You are going to be the person they're connecting with. And you have to get over the fact of feeling awkward about it, because the truth is nobody else thinks about it as much as you do. I promise that. And so really thinking through the fact that when you sign up as a coach, you become an influencer. It sounds really corny, it sounds really cheesy, but people are watching you. They're paying attention to what are you wearing, what are you eating. I can't tell you how many Instagram messages I will get asking like, what was the name of the book I shared? Where did I get my workout top? Like, people don't ever just rarely DM me and be like, how do I join your groups, right? Like, I still have to invite, but they're watching and they're paying attention. So the more you can niche yourself out and really start to share that, people start to respect your opinion. They really look at it. So some tips for photos is, first of all, get ready. You might be a little bit of a hot mess mom like I am, where you never leave your house, but get ready once in a while. Be real, but also having a feed that attracts people, right? Like, it's okay if the total grunge look is your vibe. You don't need to be like fully made up and have your hair all the way done. But if you're ready on a Sunday after church, go out and snap some photos. Or like, I will put on, like, if I work out later in the day, I will have makeup on. Not a ton, I don't wear a ton of makeup, but I'll take photos then because it looks a little more presentable than when I look like at 5 in the morning. So just be aware, like, be your real you, but be like a nice, like, you know what, I think you guys know what I'm saying. Like, you don't have to be perfect. It does not have to look fully presentable, but actually make sure that your feed looks attractive. Like, figure out a way to do that. Wearing your hair down, this is kind of a funny tip, but I've noticed that, like, you don't have to have crazy long hair, but if my hair is down versus like completely pulled back off of my face in my photos, that gets a lot more engagement, and I think it just softens you a little bit, and it makes, for whatever reason, you can play with it. Like, it just helps a lot. So even if I've had it up for my workout, I'll kind of messy it up a little bit, or I'll like pull my ponytail down and have it be like a looser ponytail so it's framing my face. I don't always work out with it like that, but like kind of messing with it a little bit just honestly helps your visuals a lot. Hey, no, not right now. The next thing is making sure that your images are light, bright, and eye-catching. And so some really just practical tips for you on this is taking photos where the sun is like to the side of you or in front of your face, not behind you, having the light hit your face. My house is really dark, and I live somewhere where it rains like 9 months out of the year. And so this is a struggle. But I will take a lot of photos in front of my garage for that reason. That's why you see a lot in front of my garage. There's one part in our house pretty good light, or if I'm doing workout stuff, if I'm taking a photo in the garage, I'll like open the garage door to let the natural light in, and that just makes a huge, huge, huge difference. So hold on, let me hold that thought again really quick. Okay. Anybody? Okay. I'm so sorry, guys. I like prepared this whole thing for you guys, and it's just a hard night. Okay. So light, bright, and eye-catching images are super, super important to have. And also some tips for you is like, but I just bought a ring light this year where I actually can turn on the light in my house, but kind of being conscious of, okay, I'm going to pause it. This should be the last time I have to pause it really quick. So just 1 second. My husband's about to leave, so I'm going to get paid. Please. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, I am so sorry, guys. She's all set up with Cinderella now. Okay, so hopefully, is this helping? Like, do you guys have questions on this at all so far? No? Okay, so the images, other tips for you are using your front-facing camera instead of the selfie mode. I know it's a little bit harder because you can't see yourself when you're taking the photos, but when you can prop it up, like I do have a tripod that I use, but I'll also half the time prop my like recover bottle and put Energize on top and put my phone there if I'm really lazy. So if you don't have a tripod, get creative with what's in your house. But do play with your self timer and actually like think about the angles that you're taking stuff with. So when you use your front facing camera, it's actually a lot of crisper of an image instead of sometimes the selfie mode gets a little bit blurry. I don't have the newest iPhone, but hey Paisley, they're coming back. You need to watch your movie, please. They're gonna come back. Caleb's in this Boy Scouts thing and Paisley can't come and it like breaks her heart. So that's why she's sad. Anyways, so that little thing. Another tip for you too is you can, and I don't have an Android phone, so I don't know how to do this on that, but if you have an iPhone and you're in your settings, if you go to your video settings and you crank the resolution as high as it goes, just like all the way up, and then you use your front facing video, not this video, but your front facing one, you can video yourself like, I know it sounds super awkward, but it works, like tying your hair, tying your shirt, like in some different poses. When you video that and then you save it, it's the crispest images ever. You can actually screenshot the paused version of that, and it can kind of catch some fun, like in motion, less staged kinds of looks, because the selfie look, you cannot have your whole feed like that. Like if it's dark, if it's just you with your recover shake selfie mode, that's not a good photo. It's not going to attract people. And the truth is, like the hard truth is, and I'm a writer, like I love writing, but if your image doesn't catch someone's attention, it doesn't matter how much time you spend on your caption, because they're not going to read it. And so you just spent all that time writing the most amazing caption for nothing, because they're not actually stopping to look at what you had to say. So the video thing is a really good trick, and you can kind of get a bunch of different photos that way too. Another piece that I use is I do use presets. So editing your photos according to your personal brand and style. Think of the colors that you have in your house. You know, if you really love the white look, but your house is full of dark stuff, like that's not going to quite work for you. Yep. Bibbidi boo. Yeah, she's in here. She's watching Cinderella. So thinking through like what are objects that you have in your house a lot. I will like to pose with like mugs. I'll pose with like this photo. I have a water bottle. Sometimes it can feel less awkward to have something in your hands. So think about how could it be a part of your brand? Like if you love coffee, maybe, and you have a fun collection of coffee mugs, maybe that's something that makes its appearance a lot in your photos. Maybe you're standing with your journal or your Bible, or like just thinking like what's around your house that you can use. It can kind of be a reoccurring theme in your photos. I use Jenna Kutcher's presets actually. I think I got 5 of them for $25 or something. And I downloaded on the Lightroom app. I literally will tweak them a little bit sometimes, but that gives my feed a more cohesive look and it brightens it up quite a bit. And that gives it truly saves me time because it makes my photos look a lot nicer and like they sort of flow together. I would say on presets, like you can find them on Etsy for pretty cheap if you don't use them, but looking at who does them, like I would recommend Jenna Kutcher for sure. There's some Beachbody coaches that make their own. I tend to stay away from those because I don't want my feed to look like all the other Beachbody coaches out there. So thinking through like, do you like more of the dark, moody kind of look? Do you like really light and bright or pastels? Mine, because of where I live and my house doesn't have a lot of white in it, even though I wish it did. I tend to have just more color in mine, but it still is cohesive. But kind of looking at making sure it's someone who has like a lot of good reviews, looking and making sure it's someone that when you see photos with people in them and they're like, I had to go to YouTube and figure out how to do it, but actually like the photos that they show as examples, that it's someone with a similar skin tone, because you don't want to get it and then have everything look orange. So if you need help with the preset thing, let me know, but that will help you a lot. Just elevate your photos. Look happy, like that should go without saying, but actually smile, actually show your face. People love to get to know you. And so it can even be goofy. And the next photo I think in here is that of me, but just like be genuine and play around with your angles, play around with portrait mode. Self-timer is my BFF. I truly do 99.9% of all my own photos, guys. My husband tried a couple times, but he was horrible at angles. And I just found that it was way better for me. Like I knew what I liked and what looked good on me. And so I just prop it up and like go take a couple pictures. So because Instagram doesn't have to be in real like live time posting, you can take all of your photos like for the next week in the current week and then you can just pre-schedule them all to go. So with a different variety of stuff, I think that works really, really, really well. If you have a friend who's a photographer, or maybe your sister likes to take photos, like maybe go out and do a photo shoot every 3 months and just get kind of a stock load of images. I try to have a mix of workout stuff and non-workout stuff, but I'm thinking through, like, if I have a day where I'm like, oh, I've got an extra 5 minutes here, I'm going to run out. And like, I literally took this, set my phone on my truck before my workout because my hair looked good that day, and ran and took a bunch of pictures in front of my garage with different poses. And I use these photos all the time, even though I took them 8 months ago now. So kind of just thinking through what can you log in for that. And then thinking through, like, will this make someone stop and read it? Like I talked about, it doesn't matter what your caption says if no one's going to look at your photo. And this takes practice. It takes time to figure out what angles you like. Like, I've started to learn what angle I like your good side or whatever for your face. Like, you kind of start to figure it out. I think that sometimes catching a mid expression instead of just like a really forced, like, like that seems really fake. But if it's like you're laughing or you're like turning, like that can look really real. So also on your feed, think about, like, have all my last 4 photos been really close to my face, and the next one I need to have something that's a little bit further away. And start looking at also, like, what other influencers or people that you follow, look at their photos and copy them. Like, if you loved how she posed on her porch with her coffee mug, or how she stood in front of her fence, it can give you some ideas to kind of emulate and copy. Still be you, but it will feel awkward at first. I know it feels awkward to have the title of influencer, but it truly is what you are, and your brand, like it or not, you are the face of that. So you have to get used to being in front of the camera and starting to take these photos and find these angles. And I promise you, it will get better. So, I mean, this picture's a prime example. This is my brand. I'm a total hot mess. I can never keep up with my laundry. It's my New Year's resolution, literally, I have to put it away as soon as I fold it because it's a struggle. But you can still, even though I'm pulling a goofy face in this photo, this got a lot of engagement. And it was, I'm facing the light, I'm in front of a wider space. This is something that anyone can relate to with the messy mom bun and the giant pile of laundry, but it's not an ugly photo. Like, you kind of start to figure out how to play with it. So I literally was like, oh, I need to grab this. So I set my phone on the counter on self-timer mode, set it for 3 seconds, pulled my laundry, and then went about my merry way with the rest of my day. And so just kind of sometimes stopping to think and be like, oh, I could grab a picture of this really fast. But I'd really encourage you to be in the moment with, like, your family and stuff. You don't want to be that obnoxious person who's having to grab a picture every 2 seconds. So when you can plan your content a little bit ahead, where you know, like, hey, on Monday, I'm going to talk about motivation. On Wednesday, I was going to share a food tip. Like, you can plan your photos ahead too. Do you guys have questions on that at all? No? Okay. So now we want to talk about, like, actually connecting with people. So I've heard people say create fans, not followers. I really like to think about creating friends. This is something where I want people to come to my feed and get to know me. So you are the main subject. Again, they're getting to know you. You might have your kids, you might have your hubby, you might have your challengers or your team or your dog or whatever, but it's mostly you. Again, because you are the one who's coaching them. You're the one who they're connecting with. You're the one who they're getting to know. So you have to be the main subject of your feed. And if you go look at my Instagram account, yes, my kids are on there. Yes, my husband is on there. But a solid 70% of the photos are just me. And I don't feel super, like, self-conscious about that now because it's just part of my brand. And I think Instagram is a little bit different than Facebook, so you can kind of treat them differently. Other things that really help create those friends is, so they've gotten to know you, spark conversations in your posts. Ask questions, ask for advice, relate to people with your laundry piles or with your work, and really kind of start getting to know your audience. It will take a little while for them to warm up to this. It takes somewhat, like, the first time I started using polls in my stories, even asking funny questions, nobody would use them. They have to warm up to getting to know you, but truly engage with them. And when someone comments on your post, comment back and start a conversation with that. Like, say, like, oh, thank you so much. Like, how are you dealing with this? Or just, like, anything to try to get that, because what happens is the more comments you have on your posts, the more conversation that's happening, the more Instagram is like, oh, her stuff needs to be seen more, and they'll start boosting you in the algorithm and showing you to more people. So whenever anybody comments anything, I always respond with a question or something that I know will elicit a response, because I want them to comment back on that post. And not everybody does, but it also, on a non-business side, allows me to get to know them better. stand on your belief and opinions. I purposefully, if you know me in real life, you know I love politics. You know I have a lot of strong opinions on it, and I don't post politics on Facebook. I hate those stupid debates. So I'm not saying go post your voting record on there. That's not what I mean. But truly, like, have some opinions, have some beliefs that you stand behind that makes you you, and don't be afraid to talk about it. One thing that I really changed this last year, and I know that this might not be you, and that's totally fine, but one thing that I really changed this last year is I noticed I started to pay attention to the posts that were getting engagement, the things that people were commenting on, and as I started to talk really specifically about two things, about my faith and about my marriage, that got a lot. And so I've never hid the fact that we're married, or I've never not talked about that I love Jesus, but I started getting really explicit and really bold about certain things. And what that does is it really allows people, again, to get to know you. So I did a post about the fact that Ben and I truly have never been on a date since we've had kids. We haven't. And I know a lot of people are like, well, you're going to get divorced and your marriage is on the rocks because of that. And that's not the case for us. But I wrote a whole post about that. It had nothing to do with coaching, had nothing to do with Beachbody, but it allowed people to get to know a side of me that people may not have seen before, and they have so many more connections now because of that. And so don't be afraid to take a stand for things. If faith is really important to you, if there's things that you're super passionate about, because yeah, it might drive some people away. You might get some unfollows because of it. And you know what? That's okay, because those people were not your people, and you are here to serve your people, okay? And it can be super, super easy to get your feelings hurt. And I will be super honest with you guys, like, the last year has been really hard. I have had multiple good friends in real life say hard things to me about my coaching business, things that made me cry, things that made me really second guess, like, what am I doing and why do they hate this? And I really had to stop and think, like, okay, and have the conversations with them of like, okay, what is it that I'm sharing that you're not loving? Well, it turned out, quite honestly, like where they were at in their life, what I was sharing about the Lord or about my fitness or whatever was like, just made them feel worse about themselves. And I apologized for that. And I said I was sorry, but I also thought, you know what? Like, I went back and looked, and I had a few other friends that I really trusted, whose opinions I really respect, and look at my stuff and give me honest feedback. And it came back to the point of like, you know, a lot of this is just their own insecurities are popping up right now. But I'm going to stay true to who I am, because I know that I'm not just, nothing wrong with this, but I'm not in here like posting bikini selfies all the time or judging people on their weight or bashing people for what they believe. I'm just sharing the journey that I am on. And if that's not serving them in the season that they're in, that is okay. And it's not my responsibility. So definitely do some gut checks. Like, think about your motivation, think about why you're posting stuff and how you're wording it, but don't be afraid to be honest about where you are and who you are at. That is what matters the most. And quite honestly, like those girls that I mentioned, I love them dearly, but they are not my people. And honestly, I don't aspire to be like them in my life right now. They are not role models that I would want for my kids, even though I truly value who they are. And so I think about like, who do I want to be? And I'm going to present that person. I know that sounds kind of harsh, but I want you guys to know that as you go about this, when you start boldly sharing who you are, when you start stepping up and honestly being really authentic, that can turn some people off. And that is okay, because again, you are not there to serve them. They are not your tribe, and you can still absolutely love them. And it's okay if you block them from seeing certain posts. I have some people I do that for, and I still love them dearly. So be real, be authentic, add value. As I post something, I always run it through a metric of, is this encouraging? Is it inspiring? Is it entertaining? Is it educational? Like, why am I posting it? I don't want it to be just a so what post. Like, yay, Abby worked out today, or yay, Abby ate healthy today. Tonight I did a post that really just related on motherhood. The day before, it was something that was educational. So thinking through, like, when someone comes to my page, I want them to get some form of value out of it and actually like come back for more. Share your story. Who is the old you, and literally make a list. Like, I've done this so many times as a coach, but make a list of who were you before Beachbody, okay? Like, what were your struggles? What were your pain points? And who are you becoming today? Like, if you're a brand new coach and you just started and you don't have a transformation or a ton of advice, well, who are you becoming? Like, what is changing in your life? Maybe you're getting up earlier. Maybe you're drinking more water. Maybe you have more self-confidence. Like, you don't have to have a massive list of accolades and be getting elite presents in the mail or have matched your full-time income or anything like that. You can share like the changes that are happening in your life right here and right now today. And quite honestly, those are so much more relatable for people than the big stuff. And so really start to share that consistently, because as you share, here was my pain point, but here I am today, people are going to start to see themselves in your story. The people who are your tribe, the people who you're talking to, the girls who get you, who are going to be your lifers, who are going to be your coaches and your best friends, they're going to see themselves in your struggles and in your pasts, in your fears and your excuses and all the things that hold you back and the things that you're hopeful about. They're going to see themselves in you. And as you share the progress and where you are today, they're going to see that it's doable. And so that's why it's super, super important to be consistent. My business has exploded in 2 seasons of my life. The first one, when I was pregnant with my daughter, and I showed up and I worked out every day for 41 weeks. I gained all the weight and I showed up anyways. And people loved following that, and it gave them that reason of like, okay, well, she's like getting super big and pregnant and working full time and has another kid. And if she can do this, I can do it too. So that really helped. And then the other time my business exploded was after a miscarriage this last year. And I shared that pretty vulnerably and openly, and people really connected with me in that struggle. And as I came out the other side, so thinking through like, how can you story tell in your posts? And it's really important that you do this over and over and over again. And it might feel like you're just beating a dead horse, but as you add new followers, they're not going to know that backstory. They're not going to know who you were 2 years ago or 2 weeks ago or 4 years ago. They're not going to see you. They just see your current chapter and might think, well, it's easy for her because fill in the blank. When the truth is, maybe you really struggled to get the confidence to post, or maybe you really struggled with your morning routine or eating vegetables or anything like that. And so it's important that you're constantly sharing pieces of your story every single week, because you have new followers coming in, or maybe it's an old follower who doesn't ever check Instagram and they come on and they're like, oh, I didn't even know that about her. So it's really important that I try to make sure I'm telling my coaching story and my fitness story at least twice a month in different ways, because it's going to connect with people. So last night I did a coaching one where I talked about the fact that I stalked my coach for 3 months. I was so scared I didn't even follow her, because I know I have people watching me. And right now they think, oh, Abby's just super confident. And the truth is, I wasn't 4 years ago. I was such a creeper. I was super, super scared. And so I need to keep telling that story, because again, it empowers people to know, oh, I can do this too. So really be honest, be vulnerable, be authentic, be hopeful, and talk about your goals. Talk about where you're headed, because nobody wants to follow someone who doesn't have a vision. They're going to go to the person who can give them the results they want. And so it's really important that you present yourself as the authority. And again, you might not feel like an authority right now, but even if you've only been a coach for 2 weeks, you're 2 weeks further along in your journey than they are. You have 2 more weeks of experience under your belt than they do. And so you can confidently direct them to your team and to your challenge groups, because you know you have the resources within our own team to plug them into to get the results that they need. And so talk about where you're headed. You know, if you want to be a top 10 team, if you want to quit your job, if you want to have a 6-pack, talk about it. Like, you're going to be there and you're going to take them on the ride with you, and they can join you, but your train is leaving the station whether they're with you or not. And so that empowers people to want to jump into them. Share your struggles, but not in a way that leaves people feeling negative. I don't think you should air all your dirty laundry. If you have a fight with your husband, you don't need to post about that on social media. But it is important that people see you as a real person. So to use my example, like going through a miscarriage, I know that's a really personal thing, and it's not something that everybody wants to talk about, but it's something that I did share about because I knew it would connect with so many women who felt alone, because I was there before a few years ago. And so just be honest. You don't have to give all the details. There should be lots in your life that you don't put on social media, and people don't need to know every single thing that's happening. People on Instagram don't need that, but you can say things like, this is a super hard season, but here's why I'm showing up today. You don't have to explain what the season is. You don't have to give them explicit details, but you can tell them what you're doing about it, or you can talk about how you're not going to cope with it via emotional eating, or you can just kind of walk people through that of why you're showing up. you shouldn't connect with everybody. Not everyone's going to be your tribe, like I talked about. You're talking to a very specific person. And this takes some time. It takes some time to develop those relationships, but you're going to find that the more you do this, the more you're going to love your job, because your challengers and your coaches are going to start being like you. And that makes it a lot of fun. When I was a new coach, I had 6 Emerald coaches on my team, and they have all quit now. And quite honestly, I'm so glad they have, because they were not my tribe, but I wasn't bold and brave enough to start speaking my language, to start talking about who I was and what I wanted and where we were headed as a team and where I was growing as a person. And now, like, the people that are on my team, you guys are people that I would want to go on the Success Club trips with. You guys are people that I want to hang out with in person and like chat on the phone with about non-Beachbody stuff, because I've put myself out there. So think about how can you connect with the person who was you 3 months ago, or that you want to be. Like, think about who your ideal coach is. Who's the gal that you want to go on vacation with and rock a business with together, and talk to her specifically. You can't please everybody, and that's okay. And it can kind of feel a little bit hard. So let's talk about, well, before I move on to captions, do you guys have questions on that at all? No? Okay. So writing a good caption, again, we've talked about photos. So now that you have your photo down, and again, this photo right here, you don't see the whole thing. Again, it's totally a hot mess photo, because that's part of my brand. You can see my laundry pile on my bed. You can see, if you look at the full photo, you can see the makeup on my counter. I like hadn't worked out, and it was a super vulnerable story. This got a ton of engagement. But again, this photo, even though it is a selfie, even though you can't see my laundry pile, you can tell it's light, it's bright, it's eye-catching. It is ran through a preset. It's something that I knew would stop and make people look and read. And so first of all, using short and sweet one-liners. Oftentimes people are not going to read past the first sentence you write. So think about how can you draw them in the very first part of your sentence. So this one, can I tell you a quick vulnerable story today that I hope encourages you? Yes? Okay. Well, guess what? That's going to make people want to tap and say, see more, because they're like, what is she talking about? And I told a really vulnerable story about how, like, it was a horrible day, and I prayed that God would send some encouragement. And literally the next email that I got was someone telling me that I was a terrible coach. And I sat and cried. And that was and I spun it. I'm not going to give you any though. So I was think about how you're captioning your post. Think about what you're writing. Telling a story or illustration. Again, people want to connect with you. People are visual learners, and stories sell. Facts are boring. So think about how you can tell a story. If you're talking about the fact that you just lost 10 pounds doing bar blend or whatever, don't just say that. No, honey, Pee-Pee. Talk about the fact that, like, you showed up every day even though your kids weren't sleeping through the night, and what the challenges that you overcame. Like, actually share the story that people can see themselves being a part of. Asking questions. So engagements on my posts, I'm always asking them or telling them what to do. Meaning, like tonight I just did a post and I said, drop a little, there's like a little plant emoji below if you're committed to this too. Asking them for engagement. Comment below. Tag a friend. Say this post. Like, telling them, asking them to engage. Do you struggle with this also? Again, that's driving the algorithm on Instagram, but it's also going to allow you to get to know your audience and keep them coming back for more. Talk in numbers. And what I mean by this is not just like boring statistics, but tell actual facts. Like, 3 gals in my boot camp this week have lost 20 pounds, a total of 20 pounds. And I'm so stinking proud of them. Like, actually talk about legitimate things that are happening. Don't just throw out blanket responses. Don't just use only Beachbodies, but think about like the things in your life that you can give specifics on that are really changing, whether it's you or the girls in your boot camp or the girls on our team. And then use emotional power words like vulnerable, authentic, like you can see this in here. Like, this has been some curveballs. Like, I'm using some words that are heavy hitting and emotional. Not every post needs to be super long. Not every post needs to be super emotional, but think of how can you elicit a response from somebody. What you, again, are an influencer, and it's important that you see yourself as that and position yourself as the authority. Stop selling Beachbody and start selling you and your lifestyle, okay? You have to earn your right to sell. You have to earn your right to actually have someone come to you and pitch it. And again, you are selling you. Beachbody is the tool that you use, but why should someone sign up with you versus me? Like, I genuinely want you to write down that reason. Why should someone sign up with you as a coach instead of coming to my challenge group? And if you can't answer that question, that could be a very real reason of why you're not getting challengers, because you are not confident and you don't believe that you're worthy of having people come to you. So you need to start thinking about the fact that you are an incredible coach, that you are equipped and you are passionate about this and you can do this. We're not here to sell workout programs and shakes. We're here to change our lives and inspire other people to make changes in theirs. And so, like, this is an example, like, night before, guys, I was 6 months postpartum from Paisley in this photo. I was in insane shape before I got pregnant with Paisley, like literal six pack. And I had a super healthy pregnancy and I could not drop the baby weight for the life of me. It was so hard after her. I don't know why. And could I have dropped it all if I only ate broccoli for 2 years? Yeah, but that's not me. Like, I like to eat chocolate. I don't want to cut out bread. I'm going to do it the way that's like slow and steady. And I shared that journey. So think about, like, what is your journey? What are the things that are really important to you in this kind of process? Because again, that is going to be the type of customer who comes your way. That's going to be the type of person who connects with your story. You're talking about how it's super hard to lose a baby weight because you breastfeed. Like, that was mine. And so I shared that. And it's not just about only having a ripped body and six packs. I got a lot of customers, guys, looking like this because I was really honest. So you don't have to beat your goals. So you have to be open and honest with the tools that you're using, the process that you're getting there, and that you know that as you're changing your life, you can help other people do the same. Become a lighthouse and shine bright in other women's lives. You have such a power. And so oftentimes people come to you because they want to drop the 5 pounds before the wedding or lose the baby weight or whatever it is. But what's under that is a whole lot of non-confidence, lack of belief, like emotional issues tied into it. Think about, the gal who is able to put on her wedding ring for the first time in 2 years because she finally lost the baby weight, or didn't have to ask her husband if something made her look fat, or was able to wear shorts at the park with her kids. Or, Sasha, you had an incredible one the other day about going on the slide with your daughter. Like, those things are things that change people's lives beyond just an aesthetic. And the gift that we have and the amazing, truly vulnerable place that people put themselves in when they come to us is something that we have to honor. And even if they do not become your customer right now, on your feed, if you are being a light, if you are being someone who's encouraging and inspiring and genuine, they are going to keep coming back to you because they see something in you. And so I want you to think of just the privilege it is to do what we do and to step up to that challenge and be excited about it. It's really, really important. Stop thinking about what people are going to think and be proud of what you do is the main thing. Like, own your season. If you are in a hot mess season like I am right now, own it. If you're a college student or a new mom or whatever, like, own that and think of how can you maximize the season that you're in. Maybe you're a working mom. Well, maybe you put together a quick PDF on Canva of like your 10 top tips for managing your time as a working mom, and you go and send that out to people. Or maybe if you're a student, you make some student-friendly, like, clean eating PDF and share that. Like, don't worry about what other people are going to think about you, because I promise you are spending more time concerned about that than anybody else is. And if someone is making a snap judgment on you, if someone has something snarky to say or whatever, and honestly, you're doing something that is making you a better person, making you a better wife and a better mom and happier and healthier, and you're being authentic to who you are, they are not paying your bills. They are not living in your body. They are not raising your children, and they can, like, shove it. Like, not to be rude, but they can, because you are working hard. And a lot of times people's views about Beachbody or about what we do are tailored and tainted by someone who was a horrible, spammy, sleazy salesperson who literally was only caring about selling shakes and not who the person was. But you know that when they come into our boot camp, when they come onto our team, they are going to be cared for. They are going to be loved. You're going to be right there with them. And you can be proud of the fact that you stand for that. You can be proud of the person that you are. And this type of work, when you're building a brand instead of just selling shakes, when you're really building that, it takes some time. It might be a slower road to do this, because that kind of connection and trust takes some time to build. But I promise you, it is going to be something that builds you a sustainable business in the long run, because people are going to know the 5 things that you are. They're going to, even if they couldn't like tell you, oh, those are her 5 things. They know that when you come to your page, she's going to talk about mom life. She's going to talk about coffee. She's going to talk about, whatever your things are. They know that you are going to be authentic, that you're going to be vulnerable. They're going to know the position that you take on stuff, and they're going to trust you to come when they come to you for things. And when you can kind of boost all of those things with some better photos, with learning how to tell your story, the package starts to come together. So give it the time that it takes to build. I want to leave you guys with this really quick exercise. I put it at the top, but then I decided I wanted to do it at the end. So I want you to ask yourself these 6 tips for growing your business. First of all, do you believe that you have a purpose as a coach and are worthy to be chosen by someone as their coach and have value to give? If you don't believe that you have a purpose, quite honestly, none of the tips that I shared with you tonight even matter, because you won't take action on them. Like the very first thing, like we talked about a couple weeks ago on our team call on confidence, like you have to start with you, and you have to know that you are worthy, that there are people that you can reach that no one else in this world can, and that where you are right now is not accidental, and you are on this team for a reason, and you are a coach for a reason. Then think about after that, if you are like, okay, I am worthy to be a coach. I do have a purpose in this life. What is your unique voice? Where is your life? What is your story? And who do you want to help? Write a mission statement. Like actually think through, like, I want to help moms in their 30s or gals in their 20s or what, like actually get explicit about who it is that you want to make an impact in, and then talk to that person and lean into what makes you unique. The hot mess status, maybe you love leopard print, maybe you hate laundry, like leaning into those things and letting that really be a part of who you are. I was on the phone earlier today with a coach prospect, a gal who's thinking about joining my team, and she told me she follows 10 Beachbody coaches, and 8 of them are top 10 coaches. I was like, well, why do you want to jump in on my team? And she's like, well, you post about your devotionals every single day, and you talk about the training that your team has, and I wanted to be with someone who would care about me for more than just my challenge pack sales. And I'm like, awesome. Like those things that I'm posting are not necessarily like my devotionals or things like that. That's a part of my brand now. It doesn't necessarily relate to Beachbody, but it does because people know that that's what they're going to get with me. So thinking through, like, what do you lean into? How can you share that consistently? Then you take massive action, guys. You can't just sit here and worry about taking good pictures or worry about your invites. You actually have to go out and you have to start taking the photos, and they're going to suck at first, and you're going to find your right angles, and you have to start sending the invites. You have to actually just start doing stuff and thinking about what your goal is. If you want to be Diamond by Summit, which legitimately every single one of you could be, you know that you need to connect with 8 people to join your team, whether they're getting a discount or work the business. So that means you need to go invite 25 people, like, and actually make those connections. And then in that invite process, actually thinking through, like, how does this work? So one thing that I've moved to is if someone's interested in joining my team as a coach, I actually get them on the phone. And you could do this with challengers too, but I'll always send them a PDF of information about the coaching opportunity or about, my challenge group. And I'll ask them, like, okay, I know you know what this is about. So what attracted it to you? And I get them excited. Like, what were your goals? Why did you want to sign up for my, my team, or what made you want to jump into my challenge group? And I get them excited. After we have that conversation and I truly just listen to them, I ask them what questions they have. I don't just word vomit what I assume their questions or doubts or fears would be. I ask them so I can tailor my responses to them. And then I ask them on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you? I know you might need to talk to your husband about this, or you have some decisions that you want to make, but like, where are you at? Like, what are you ready to get plugged into? And then have a game plan for what's next for them. Make sure they know that you have a challenge group you can plug them into and be confident in that. Maybe you're not running your own yet and you want to partner up with another gal on our team or mine. That's fine. Maybe you're like, I don't know how the heck to recruit a coach. Well, guess what, guys? I just revamped our whole training, and it's so easy. It's literally a step-by-step process. So you can feel so confident in what you do because you do have the tools and the resources. So you have that game plan, let them know what it is. And then the next thing is to truly give this the time it deserves. If you think about what your biggest goal in coaching is it worth sticking around for an hour a day to make that dream come true? Is it worth getting a little outside your comfort zone? I was told early on in my coaching career that if you are consistent in this business, as in like every day doing your vital behaviors, years 2 and 3 are where everything changes. And that was really helpful for me because it gave me a long-term vision of like, if stuff changed before that, that would be awesome. But I wasn't expecting to be making 7 figures 6 months into the business. I had a long-term vision of knowing if I show up consistently every single day, that in year 2, I think that's going to start to change. And guess what? That's exactly what happened. Year 2, I matched my income. Year 2.5 is when I quit because we wanted to build up some savings and switch some stuff for insurance. And now that I'm in year 3 and 4, it's continued to grow. But 6 months into the business, I wasn't making that. I wasn't having that growth, but I showed up anyway. So be consistent. Yeah, that is great. And give yourself the grace that you are learning, that there's growth happening, that there are going to be learning curves and failures, and that every single step along the way is just a piece of that puzzle kind of getting put into place for you. But have that long-term vision of who you want to be, and then start showing up like her. Start thinking about like, who's the leader that I need to be to lead a team? Who's the leader that I need to be to do this? And what are the steps that I need to take today? If I struggle with my mindset, I need to grow in that. I need to go listen to some Rachel Hollis, or I know, Pacey, it's funny. So anyways, I see it. It's so silly. Sorry. Are there questions you guys have on anything at all that would be helpful for this, or anything else? No? I think everyone's like, I know you guys are all, it's like bedtime and stuff. So if not, that's totally fine. Sasha, do you have one? You like sat back down. Hold on.
Hi. Where am I muted?
I got
okay.
you.
I think we kind of chatted about this, posting vitals. It wasn't until I finished Morning Meltdown and was consistent for 100 days did conversations start rolling in. And people started messaging me. I didn't invite them for that 100 days. We already talked about that being about me. But I consistently showed up for them by encouraging them and being consistent in showing up for myself.
Yeah.
Did those conversations start to happen?
I love that. No, it's so true. But it's just crazy like how many people are watching you. And they like almost need you to prove that you're not going to go anywhere. And that you are going to keep showing up.
It's kind of funny. All the same people watch my stories and they don't comment on anything I post about products or about workouts too often. It's about the other stuff, but they are still watching.
Yeah.
All of my other posts. So it's that consistency that they're eventually following up on. They're like, is she really going to finish 100 days? And then when you finish 100 days and you finish the next program, and then they see the changes and not just the weight, but what they're struggling with in their own life when you're attracting your own tribe, is when I have like 7 or 8 conversations going. And it's funny that they expect you to just cold invite versus starting that conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think when they get to know you, they realize, they start to like feel like your friend. Like the girl I was talking on the phone with today, she's like, oh, I feel like I know you already because I watch your stories every day. I'm like, yeah. Like, so it's so, I'm so proud of you. No, that's so true. And yeah, I think the more it's opportunity that you can create for them to engage with you, the better, like the faster those things convert. So you're doing a good job with that. And you actually had a really great story. I messaged you the other day, like super authentic, super, I know it's hard to post, but like, so your story.
Yeah, I haven't posted anything like that in depth in a while. And I think I have a bunch, I started working on my vitals and growing my following. So I think it's important to start sharing that a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know your story has hard chapters, but someone coming in right now is just like, oh, well, good for her. I don't know what you've walked through the last years. And the fact that like, just, I think a voice for women who've gone through loss like that is so powerful. So I think it's an amazing ministry opportunity, and I'm just so excited for you. So I'll share the slides from this if this would be helpful, but I think just kind of think these through, think about how you can elevate your photos a little bit. I know it sounds so self-centered, but it is a brand and it is a business. So thinking through that, and then as you can kind of think of like, okay, who am I? How can I take a stand on this? What is my brand? And just own that and run with it and tweak it. Like if it's not working for you, you can change it a little bit because you're not like locked into those things, but really kind of laser focusing in on who you are and who you want to serve. Then those people will start coming to you and it makes it a lot more fun. So thank you for putting up with my total hot mess tonight. I am so sorry. But I might re-record this to share with the team because it's just a disaster. But if you guys need anything, definitely let me know. I'm going to be focusing really on coach recruiting the rest of the month. That's kind of my goal right now, but you can be, if you're not recruiting coaches, then start talking about your February challenge groups, start adding value, like all of those things, and I'm here to help in any way. So anything else? You guys all set? Okay. I'm like, I can only see Sasha's face. I'm just looking at your face. All right. Well, I will talk to you guys soon and have an awesome evening. Bye, guys.